Hey scholars, what we now want to do is we want to take a look and remind you of all the basic principles of preparation, compilation, and review, just so that we have them all down before we start trying some exercises in this area. So let's begin. One of the first things we want to mention here is that we want to explain that a test means report, while assurance describes the level of responsibility and the work performed. Now, CPAs can perform 3 levels of service with respect to unaudited financial statements of a non-issuer, a private company. We're going to review the 3 and compare and contrast the levels of services and the types of reports that are provided. Let's start out with preparation. Preparation requires that the accountant take management's documents and prepare financials. What we would expect you might see is a trial balance, and you would have the obligation to try to put it into the order of a balance sheet or an income statement. All right? They can have disclosures, or they can omit substantially all of them. Now, this is a non-attest function. In addition to that, there is no assurance given. You'll notice no report is issued. The accountant is not required to consider independence, but you, of course, must be engaged to perform it. So there's no consideration of independence, and even if you lack independence, no requirement to disclose. And also, you have to make sure that you are engaged to perform. The next set of services is a compilation. A compilation is very similar to a preparation. There are 2 major differences. One is a required report. We're dealing with a test. There is no assurance going on here. And of course, you will have a report. So the accountant will be required to issue a report, and the accountant must determine whether or not they are independent. You can perform it if you are not independent, but you must disclose your lack of independence. The next category is a review. Now, a review is also considered one of the attest functions. It's going to provide limited assurance. And by the way, you are required to be independent in order to provide any level of assurance, whether it's reasonable, audit, or limited assurance. You must also provide other items. It includes the report, and you have, of course, the obligation to do analytical procedures and do inquiries of management, read the board of directors minutes, etc. All of those are required, and as we said, you must be independent in order to perform that level of service. So, the following item says, we have a comparison of prepared, compiled, and reviewed. You'll note we have preparation has no attest function, while compilations and reviews have an attest function. And remember, the word attest means you're issuing a report. The level of service is the assurance that we're given. In a compilation, there's no assurance. In a review, there's limited assurance. And you'll notice independence is required in a review, not required in a compilation, but you must disclose it, and just simply not required in preparation in its entirety. Hopefully that gives you a nice review and summary of the information you're going to need to know in order to answer those questions on the next CPA exam.